Guys, welcome to this special edition of the Manlihood Mancast. We are going to break down the steps that I took to change my life in a year because you know what? A new year is coming up. I don't want to be the same person in 2024 that I started, and I know you don't either. You want to walk into 2024 with some amazing goals accomplished, with losing weight, with getting a better job, with accomplishing the thing you wanted, starting a podcast, writing a book. Whatever it is, you've got goals, you've got dreams, and you need to turn them into something that you can make happen. We're going to do that together. So if you want to be a part of this, I want you to reach out to me. My information is in the show notes because we've got a great program to help you do it. But through this series of podcasts that I'm going to give you right now, my goal and my hope is that I can equip you to change your life in a year.
Are you ready to live life to the full? Are you ready to rise up and live a life of honor? Are you ready to boldly step into a life of courage? This is the Manlihood Mancast, and here's your host, Josh Hatcher.
Gentlemen, welcome back to the Manlihood Mancast. I'm your host, Josh Hatcher, and I want you to listen. I tell you guys all the time the stuff that we've got for sale, the stuff that we're offering, and I'm going to give you a quick plug for Manlihood Beard Oil from the Manlihood Apothecary. My friends at Hemp Mafia put this together. If you go to manlihood.com/store, you can get that. We've also got more contests on the way. We recently gave away our Christmas contest, and the winner of that is Dave Feely, who, interestingly enough, even though I had contest entries from all over the country, he lives just down the street, and so I'm going to go get to deliver that, and he messaged me and said that winning that contest was perfect timing. He recently had a heart transplant, has to go for another checkup, and it always makes him nervous, and he was kind of sitting there feeling bad about it, and so kind of winning a contest made him feel good. So the timing of that was perfect. Dave Feely's a great guy, and it was completely random, and it made me happy to know that a guy that I know lives just down the street is going to win an amazing prize pack from Haven Designed. And if you want to check out those beautiful handmade custom Christmas ornaments, go to havendesigned.com. Now, I have been really heavily posting a lot on social media lately. And if you've been paying attention, you've seen it, and it's probably annoyed you. I don't care, because this matters to me. I've got some books that I've written called Change Your Life in a Year and the Change Your Life in a Year workbook. You can get these on Amazon, and a few years ago, I was not happy with where I was at. My life was kind of stale. I wasn't getting the kind of results that I wanted to get, and I wanted to make a difference. So I sat down and I basically made myself a printable set of goals, like a worksheet, to help myself work through my goals for a year. And I just paid attention to what I did. And in that year, I lost 100 pounds. I wrote and published 6 or 7 books, I believe. I relaunched my podcast. I did all kinds of things. I really stepped into a better version of myself. Now, since then, a lot of the habits and the things that I learned, I've been able to stick with. Some of them I've fallen back off the wagon on. The podcast is still going. I think my mindset is generally better. 2020 hit, the pandemic hit, and I know that for a lot of men, we got so far off track. And, between the political side of things or the fear side of things or the combination of all of it, surviving the pandemic of 2019, 2020 was ridiculous. And, I found myself feeling depressed and falling back into some old habits to comfort myself. And, things like overeating. And I have lost that 100 pounds and gained that 100 pounds so many times in my life that, it's time to get that serious again. And I just decided, I've been thinking about it. I knew it was time to go through those materials that I created again. I created these for myself, and they work. They changed my life. I've had other friends go through them. They changed their life. And I decided 2023 is going to be the year that I'm going to do it again. But I'm not going to do it alone. I'm going to go through it with you. So those areas of my life that have continued to progress and continued to grow, I'm going to grow the next level. And my hope is that I can go back and fix some of the things that I've kind of fallen back on, and I want to take you with me. So what I'm doing is I'm going to, number one, teach you the information in the book in the next few podcasts, at least in the first book, not the workbook. The book itself. I'm going to teach you what I've learned, what helped me, and I'm going to encourage you to get the book because the book is going to help you. But I'm also taking a group of men through this. So we don't have a whole lot of space left. We don't have a whole lot of time left. I want you to get in touch with me if you say, that's it, I'm tired of it. Yes, it's going to cost you some money. You've got to pay for the book, and you're going to pay me for some coaching. And we're going to have a time where we set aside and we talk weekly in communication to help you on your goals, and even some daily communication. We'll have a group chat, but we're also going to have a monthly coaching call where we go down and we look at how you're doing with your goals. We make adjustments, we evaluate, and we see how we can make it better for the next month. We're going to do that all year long. And you're going to have access to, there's some amazing guys that are in the group that are going to be tremendous helps to you as well. So not only the things that I've learned, me helping you see those things, but this is really about the community that we're forming together. This is a mastermind where we're going to learn, grow, get better together. It's going to cost you some money. So don't message me if you're like, I don't have any money. I can't help you. However, I can help you because I'm going to teach you what I know here on the podcast. I'm going to encourage you, if you have a little bit of money, grab the books, read the books, and then do it. Gather a group of people around you to go through this yourself, to go through this coaching yourself. Without the coaching, but you can go through the program yourself. You don't need me. But if you want what I'm offering you, I'm offering it to you. And what I'm charging is ridiculously cheap compared to what other people that are out there that are doing this. So don't be like, well, Josh Hatcher's all about the money. No, I'm not. That's why I'm teaching you this stuff right now on the podcast. We're going to go through this book for the next several episodes. I'm going to teach you what I know. I'm selling the book for a reasonable price, and I've given it away to a lot of people. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to sell it because if you don't have a buy-in, if it doesn't cost you anything, it means nothing to you. So I'm charging a rate that is reasonable, and we're going to learn together. And when you invest in it, it matters to you. You'll take it seriously. Well, I don't want to waste the time I'm spending on this. I don't want to waste the money and the effort and the time. I've got to stick with it. That's the mindset of when you pay for some coaching. So I want to encourage you, if you want some help, get in touch with me. My contact information is in the show notes. And just say, hey, I'm in. I'm ready to go. What does it cost? Whatever it is, I'm ready to go. And I'm going to tell you this too. It costs some money. It honestly does not cost that much for what you're getting. This is phenomenal stuff that's really going to help you. And I cannot wait until we can go through it together. But in the meantime, how about we start looking at this content? How about we start looking at what's in the book? How can we change your life in a year so that together we can learn some of this? So guys, step one is mindset. The first step in all of this. If you want to say, I want to be a different person when January 2024 rolls around, you have to start by changing your mindset. And this is not as easy as you would think, but it's also not complicated. It's simple. Not easy, but simple. The first thing you have to do is you have to get real with yourself. Get real with yourself. You know, I think of like the 12 steps. The first step is admitting that you have a problem. And the honest truth is, if you're not real with yourself and where you're at and the problems and the struggles that you have, you're never going to get better. And that first sitting down and taking an inventory of where you're at. Maybe it's for you, maybe it's stepping on the scale. Maybe it's seeing, okay, this is what my weight is. I need to take this seriously. I know that is for me. Maybe it's looking at what attitudes you've got that you know that have to change. Maybe it's just being real with, If I want to hit this goal, I've got to work really hard to get there. But you have to start by being very real with yourself. And if you are feeling like you're not able to do that the way you need to, ask a good friend. Find a friend who's going to tell you the truth. Saul Bellow says, a man should be able to hear and to bear the worst that can be said of him. If you can't handle someone telling you exactly what you need to hear, you will not progress. And it's hard. I know, especially like if you look at your marriage, they always say that, and I've experienced this too, if you were to sit down and give your marriage a letter grade and you have your wife do the same thing, yours is always going to be higher than hers is because you just see it that way. And there are some times when you don't want to know exactly what she thinks because it might be painful and it might be difficult and it might be hard. We have to be willing to hear the worst about ourselves so that we can change and adjust. You have to be real with yourself. The next thing you have to do is you have to deal with your crap. And I say this all the time. It could probably be a trademarked Josh Hatcher quote if there ever was one. If you don't deal with your crap is going to deal with you. And we've all got crap. All kinds of crap. I'll tell you a quick story about a friend. I was invited to, right about the time I wrote this book, a little before that, I had a friend that died. And I happened to know a lot about his life. He had a lot of crap. He was raised by a very alcoholic and abusive father. His mother found another man who was financially stable, not an alcoholic, but he was just mean. He was mean. He was cruel to his stepsons and abusive. Would work them hard, would just say horrible things to them, would even physically abuse them. And, in an effort to keep them in line, and not corrective discipline, but just harsh. And that was the way he grew up. And as soon as he was old enough, he started doing drugs and started drinking heavy. And guess what? That brings a whole lot more baggage and crap into your life. And he basically lived his whole life constantly fighting addiction, constantly making a mess out of every situation in his life. I think he was married several times and they all fell apart. He made horrible decisions. And then he got hooked on some serious drugs. He got hooked on heroin. And towards the end of his life, there wasn't much left of him. He was a mess. He was a wreck. And his family had basically just said, I'm done. I can't help you anymore. And so I went to his funeral when he died in the hospital after all of that. And his family was pretty hurt that he had never faced those demons, instead just let them consume him. And, his brothers are very healthy. They are strong. They have been through therapy and they've gotten help and they've made adjustments in their life so that they live a life that is good and moral. He never did because he never dealt with his crap. So I want you to know and to see and to understand that what we do in our life is a lot of times in reaction to those deep, dark feelings, that shadow, as Jung would call it, that part of our life that is hard to face. Nobody wants to admit the kind of person they are on the inside. Nobody wants to admit the kind of thoughts they think or the kind of deeds that they sometimes do when nobody is looking. And we justify it and we rationalize it and we say, oh, it's fine. It's nothing. Everybody does that. No, it's crap. And you need to get rid of it and get it out of your life. And you need to fight that shadow so that it's not consuming who you are. Because if you give it an inch, it takes a mile. Deal with your crap or your crap deals with you. What happens is of little significance compared to the stories we tell ourselves about what happens. That's what Rabbi Alameddin says. We tell ourselves what happened, and we tell a story. And maybe, we had some abuse, but maybe we tell ourselves that we deserved it. Or maybe there was no abuse, but we tell ourselves that we weren't wanted or we weren't loved when we were, but we couldn't receive it. And we tell ourselves these stories, and they affect the way you think, and they affect the decisions that you make. What we have to do is deal with our crap. We be real with ourselves, we deal with our crap, and we tell ourselves the truth. The truth about the situation. The good truth, the bad truth, whatever the truth is. Because the story that you tell yourself is you're worthless, you're ugly, you can't do anything right, it's all your fault, you're dumb, you're so fat, no one's going to listen to you, nobody loves you. Those are the stories that you tell yourself. But what's the truth? You matter, you are loved, you're a handsome guy. There are people in your life that look up to you. You know what the truth is that you need to hear, and I'm going to really highly encourage you as you're working on changing who you are to start addressing those things. Find out the lies that you believe and clean up the junk and start replacing those lies with truth. Make some Post-it notes and write the truth down and stick them where you see them. And every day when you see that Post-it note, say that truth out loud. You are talented. You are handsome. You are a hard worker. Whatever that truth is that you need to hear, you need to tell yourself, because who cares whether anybody else tells you? A lot of times we get down on ourselves because we're not getting what we need from people. Give it to yourself. Tell yourself the truth. And this is part of rewiring your brain, because your brain is flexible. The pathways in your brain, the neurochemical pathways, those can be shifted and those can be changed. Things that rewire it are things like gratitude, things like positive reinforcement, and choosing to believe things. You can rewire the way that your brain works. It takes discipline, though. It takes consistency. So I want you to take that time and recognize that this year, if you are going to be better, if you're going to change your life, it's going to start with you doing that, changing the way you think. Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Muhammad Ali said that. And really, that is the mindset that we need to take. The things that you think you can't do, the things that you think you can't conquer, you're not gonna unless you do it. You're not gonna unless you change your mind about it. The other thing, guys, that rewires your brain, and we've talked about that, is gratitude. So I want to encourage you that as we're working on this, as you're working on changing your life in a year, that you make an effort to be thankful at every moment. It rewires your brain. It really does. It changes the way you think. It has a measurable effect on depression and anxiety. It has a measurable effect on so many parts of your brain, so many parts of your emotional health. So take the time to keep a journal. Write down what you're thankful for. If you're thankful for someone, tell them. It will change you, and it will change them too. Guys, the other thing that is worth talking about if you're going to change your life in a year, you cannot fix it all at once. You cannot. You cannot fix every area of your life at once. Really, your life is like a wheel that you want to get spinning. That flywheel that gets spinning, and it has momentum, and it's turning around, and every one of the spokes on that wheel are important in your life. But you can't focus on them all at once. You can only focus on what's directly in front of you. And so when the wheel spins around and you're working on your spiritual growth, you get that wheel spinning. That part of the wheel's there. You say, I'm going to work on this right now. Today I'm going to work on this. And then when the next part of your wheel spins and it gets to your family and the time that you spend with them and the way that you treat them, you work on that. And your friends, your social relationships, your career, your personal finances, your intellectual growth, your physical health, all those areas of your life, you might identify more. Those are the main buckets, I think, that are on this wheel. But when they come around, you give them the attention they need so that they work and they function while your life keeps spinning. Because life doesn't stop for you to deal with these things. It won't. Now, it can, because if you don't deal with them at all, or if you have one of these areas that you're not dealing with when it's in front of you and life keeps spinning around, it's going to come back around. And if you didn't deal with it, it's going to be harder to deal with. It's going to be harder to work on. So you've got to keep that wheel spinning, and you focus on the things that are in front of you a little bit at a time. daily disciplines, daily habits is really the secret behind this, guys. The daily discipline of praying with your wife, the daily discipline of eating a meal together as a family, the daily or weekly discipline of spending some time with your kids and doing something fun, the weekly discipline of meeting a friend for coffee or meeting with a group of guys, the weekly discipline of reading a book or daily discipline of reading a book, the spiritual discipline of prayer, and the spiritual discipline of reading the Bible, or the weekly discipline of going to a church gathering or whatever. Each of these things, guys, when you do them and you keep that wheel spinning, you focus on what's in front of you and it gets better. And if you continue to do it, it continues to get better. So that's the first part. That's step one. That's how we work on changing our mindset. And that is really the start of changing your life in a year. Again, guys, if you want to go through this with me and you want to go through some coaching, you want to go through some encouragement, I want to encourage you, you start by buying the book and the workbook on Amazon. I'll make sure there's a link in the show notes as well. Grab them both. It's a $30 investment. And this first investment will change your life if you do it and you work through the steps. If you really want to work hard on it, I want you to message me. I want you to send me an email. I want you to reach out to me on social media and say, I'm in. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to set you up with a coaching program that you're going to pay for every month. And as you do that, it is going to give you the community, the brotherhood that you need to really make a difference and actually set your goals, to break them down and then work the steps. That's what I've got for you guys. I really want you to do this with me. So message me and let's make this happen. Our next episode that we talk about, by the way, guys, when we go through this together, we're going to be talking about setting some goals. So again, reach out to me if you want to get involved. I just want you guys to know, whatever it is you're facing, you're going to be able to face it. Whatever it is you're tackling, you're going to be able to tackle it. You are very capable. If it's harder than what you can do right now, you will be able to grow enough to do it in the future. You don't have to stay a little kid in your head forever that can't reach the top shelf. You're going to grow. So let's take the time to invest in growing so that we can do the things we want to do. Anyway, guys, I love you. I care about you. And I'll see you next time.
If you want to be a better man, check out our website, manlihood.com, for blogs, videos, and more from our Manlihood team. And you can also join our private Facebook group, Manlihood Man Cave, where you can meet up with a band of brothers who will challenge you and help you on your journey of manhood. This episode is produced by Hatcher Media for manlihood.com. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you're listening to the show. Tune in again for more of the Manlihood Mancast.